This is the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast. Thank you for listening, subscribing, and hitting subscribe on your friend's phone without them knowing. Coming to you from the Kitchen Studios in downtown Raleigh. This episode is sponsored in part by Joe Van Gogh Coffee, serving the community from seed to cup, taking particular care at every step to honor the bean. And now conveniently heading to the toilet when the check comes. It's Max Trujillo and Matthew Weiss.
Hello, and thank you for listening to the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast. I am your co-host, Max Trujillo.
And I am your co-host, Matthew Weiss.
And I'm Megan from Magnolia Megan on Instagram. And today we have with us Chef Katsuji Tanabe from Averde and Anthony Rapillo from B Pizza and Flask Cocktail Bar.
Yeah, welcome everybody.
What's going on?
Hey guys, how are you today?
Yeah, we're crammed in here.
Yeah, so we've got a packed house, and there is a voice that you just heard that you may not have heard before, and that's Megan. Welcome, Megan, to the show as our guest host.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so we're excited. This has been the lame, silly joke that we've said 1,000 times now, but, Matt and I, we have definitely covered the white male 45-year-old point of view for the last 6 years, and whereas, it's a pretty good point of view. No, I don't know. It's just a point of view.
It's the best, bro.
It's the best point of view. It's the most heard point of view by far in America. But it was like, maybe we should actually have other people speak and give their point of view, because the food and beverage culture is not just about what Matt and I think about it. It's what everybody thinks about it. And so we're like, what is very different than me and Matt? Megan, you fit that bill.
I'm here. That's why I'm here.
You're a problem. I mean, this is the dumb joke. You could probably be my daughter.
Maybe.
Probably. And let's just quickly get started. Where are you from? Just so we know you a little bit.
So I'm actually from Ohio. Well, I lived in a few places growing up, but Ohio is like what I call home. I'm from a really small town. Actually, it's Amish country. So
That's what I heard.
From a town of like 400, I had like 15 kids in my class. I grew up raising chickens, things like that. So
Whoa.
That is amazing and fantastic. So that's good, though, because I'm the West Coast guy from California, born and raised San Jose, lived in Los Angeles for most of my adult life. Matt, you are from the biggest city in the world, although really you're a Long Island. Or in the country.
Yeah.
You're a New Yorker.
Yeah.
And then we have small town Megan over here.
Midwest, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're all here happily in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Megan, you brought friends with you, as you mentioned before, with a former guest of the show, Anthony Rapillo, also former host, the host of the first Bubbles and Brisket.
The inaugural.
Yeah.
You allowed us to use your parking lot, Mr. Anthony Rapillo.
We had an awesome time. That was such a cool event.
Yeah.
I feel like that was like almost the comeback from COVID, right? That was like our first real kind of get together, which now feels like 1,000 years ago, and all the cool things that you guys have been doing since. But yeah, no, that was such a cool event. So.
And then, of course, Mr. Chef Katsuji Tanabe, easy for me to say, kidding, of Averde, but you also, like me, hailed from Los Angeles for quite some time.
So Mexico City, 19 years, LA, 21, and then now Raleigh for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Wow. And you're only 27. That's crazy how that works.
Yeah, you almost could have been, the guest host as well, but you're about our age, and so it didn't really work.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But
Although multi-ethnic would have given us, a lot of roundedness. Although you have like the Mexican part, the Jewish part, so we've kind of got that covered too.
yeah, and for those that don't know, you've probably seen Katsuji on Top Chef, where you've occurred few times. You were on, of course, your season, which was 16?
Boston, Mexico, and Charleston. So it was, I think, 16. The first one international which was Mexico, and then Charleston. I think, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
18, yeah.
That Mexico episode was killer. That season was killer. It was so awesome to watch chefs be able to cook with all, like, everything from Mexico. Like you could get anything grown there, and it's just amazing. But I don't know if you remember, first time we ever met was actually at the James Beard Awards in 2018. It was for like a very split second.
In Chicago?
In Chicago.
Yeah.
We took the podcast on the road. We had full media access. I don't know what they were thinking. They gave it to us. But we get full access. We even were on the red carpet. We had Forrest Mason, our videographer, on the carpet asking the question today. Most people don't realize that when the James Beard Awards are held, it's actually held on Chef James Beard's birthday. That's the date that they choose. And so we asked, if you were to cook for Mr. Beard tonight, what would you cook for him? And so that was the question. The resounding answer was roasted chicken, because that was kind of what he's known for. But then later on in the night, as the party rolled on, we all just kind of made our way out to like the after parties, and I think we ended up at some place right on the water. There was like it was just a big event. It was just kind of like the big after party that was happening, and somehow we sat there and consumed a few cocktails, perhaps, and that's where we first met. And then eventually we heard that you were coming to Raleigh, and so it's been great. You've been here now.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember those parties because it gets hazy because all the drinking, and I remember we ended up at Goat.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
The after party.
That was the number one, and then there was another one, and then
It might have been the night before.
The night before.
It was the night before that we first met.
Because the awards happened on a Monday. I think that was actually on a Saturday. It was like the first night we were partying.
Yeah, who knows? But it was a wild time.
Yeah.
And Stephanie Izzard has the goat.
Gibson's Italia. That's a place in the water with the...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a really nice place.
Yeah.
I got a picture. You and my wife Felicia are holding up I Rise For whatever, something in a picture.
No, now I know where is it. It's a house on the lake. It's like 20 minutes from downtown. You have to... Yes.
You remember all that?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
It's a good time.
It's a good time.
If you can make it to the James Beard Awards, it's not just the awards; it's the whole environment that becomes really fun.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about some things. So, Megan, why did you? We said, hey, you want to be on the show? You said, yeah, that sounds great. We said, who would you like to have on the show? And you brought up these two fellas. Why?
Well, Anthony and I have been friends for a while, and got to know Chef Katsuji from visiting Averde and things like that. But we're actually hosting an event next Monday on the 20th, right? The 20th?
Yeah.
And so it's a pizza and cocktails pairing with Japanese-inspired pizza, and it's going to be at Flask Cocktail Bar. And, yeah, it's just going to be a fun time, a 5-course dinner-type event.
Whoa.
Yeah, so how it kind of came up, I had met Katsuji at last year's Raleigh's Best Bars party.
Yeah.
So Gina introduced me.
Gina Stevens, editor-in-chief of
from Raleigh Magazine, just incredible.
Shout out.
So she kind of introduced me. We had a really good night together. We just kind of hit it off really well, me and Katsuji. Same deal, drinking some tequila shots. And then this was leading up to the opening of his restaurant here, Averde. We had just opened the cocktail bar. So we're like, hey, do you want to do something? It was his idea. He's like, hey, do you want to do something together? He's like, I can come to your restaurant. I can make like different types of pizza. We could have like a cool night. I kind of was just kind of his helper for it, right? Like kind of his sous chef throughout the event. We sold some tickets. We had an awesome time. And then we figured, hey, look, this is around a year later. It's right around Valentine's Day. Maybe people that couldn't get a reservation at their favorite restaurant. These kind of, we're recording this on Valentine's Day, so it's kind of hard to get a table. So we figured we'll do it a couple days later. I obviously wanted to reach out to Megan, who has been great with us, just kind of throwing events. She has that huge social media following. It's super organic, so it kind of just made sense. I mean, we're excited to kind of run it back, right?
Yeah, the first event we did, it was same concept but different flavors. So the flavor profile for the first pop-up, it was an all Mexican pizza. So we did like a Mexico street corn pizza, a cochinita pibil pizza.
Ooh.
What else we did? Did we do cactus pizza? I can't remember. I can't remember a lot of things that I do.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on. I was just trying to keep pace, to be honest with you. You were moving pretty quick.
I think we did a chilaquiles pizza too.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was corn, chilaquiles, and cochinita pibil, that's for sure. And then for this one, we're doing all Japanese. So I'm doing some sukiyaki, which is like thin sliced beef that it's been braised in sake and mirin with like root vegetables and mushrooms. Then we're gonna do like scallops, clams in Japanese mayo with bonito flakes. And then the third one, which is the one that I like the most, it's like utilizing North Carolina product, in this case okra, and then okra with like togarashi, spicy mayo, things like that.
Wait, the scallops and the clams that you don't. So how does that work on a pizza? Like you have to cook that first.
Yeah, so what I'm having in mind is like we're gonna like marinate like a dashi miso marinade on the scallops and the clams, roast them in his wood oven.
Okay.
And pull them out. Then you make your basic like white clam pizza.
Oh my God.
So we add the clams, but we add the
And
scallops.
you slice the scallops thin, or you just plop them on
No,
there
just
like
they're gonna be the base scallops, the little
Okay.
ones. So you just put them in there. Obviously, the rich MSG Japanese mayonnaise.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, and then the bonito flakes, which is gonna make it super umami. And I when I live in Japan, pizza, believe it or not, it's big
a big
over there.
deal.
Oh yeah, it is very different than American pizza. It's very tasty. They tend to put a lot of cabbage and bacon. And then
Cabbage?
it looks more like a pancake. And
Okay.
then here in America, we stuff the crust with cheese. Over there, they put sweet potatoes sometimes.
Wow.
Okay, which we should be doing here because it's North Carolina and
Yeah.
sweet potatoes are a big deal. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because if you've watched any of those A Chef's Table on Netflix, they did the whole pizza series where they went deep into Japanese pizza.
Yeah.
Japanese pizza is like, I mean, many could argue like when you're talking about what's the best pizza, which is a stupid thing to do anyways, but Japanese pizza is not niche. It's like, no, they've figured out like all structurally how to do dough and timing and moisture and humidity, all that, and then just really perfected like the technique. So is there, I mean, I don't know, Katsuji, would you be able to, or even Anthony, I mean, you guys both make pizza. Is there anything you could compare so we could understand what a Japanese pizza like tastes like most? Like how would you most compare it?
I think the best way to compare a Japanese pizza is if you go back to the 90s style, California style pizza. They're utilizing,
Nice.
like the dough, it's a good vehicle to carry the local produce from California. Remember, like Wolfgang Puck started doing the smoked salmon and the caviar pizza.
That's my boy.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Just I don't want to say them upscale because I think pizza it's a good
Like a vessel for
it's a good
food?
vessel for everybody.
Yeah.
It breaks with classes. It's not rich people, it's not poor people. Everybody can afford a slice of pizza. I think what we're doing for this instance, we are adding flavors that in America people don't really relate that much, especially in this area of the country. Like I said, California and Seattle, you can taste these seafood pizzas. New
Yeah.
York, some have some upscale places. But the cool thing about the Raleigh, it's like we have really good water for pizza. Like you coming from LA and me from LA, the pizza in LA, it's just okay.
Sure.
And then I moved here and I was like, wow, even the bad pizza here, it's still very good pizza. Like one of the pizzas that I enjoy eating, and I don't know if I feel ashamed or not, it's the Harry Steeder's pizza. They sell it already by
the
this.
Harry
And
Steeder.
I take a whole pie and I put it back in the oven. It is really good, but I think it's all about the water. I think the East Coast water really makes a huge difference.
So is that the reason? That's the answer of? I mean, you're an LA guy. You worked in Mexico City. You
Yep.
worked in Japan. You could have had your druthers of where you wanted to work. Is it the Raleigh water that made you come here?
No, I think what made me come over here was I didn't know Raleigh until I came the first time. I didn't know anything about Raleigh, and I think what made me stay was obviously the pricing,
Yeah.
and then there are things like people are really nice here, like to the point that it's kind of weird. That, like, why are you being so nice? But the water it's important. And I think if you compare the water from Wilmington and the water from Raleigh, we have two different styles of water. Water in Wilmington it's very murky, it's kind of heavy. Here in Raleigh, it feels like spring or well water, such a different quality. And I think that helps in the produce or on the final product of a pizza.
Yeah. For sure.
I've only been trying to get into pizza since like I don't know, October of last year because I opened up a small pizza joint inside of Crafton, but like I was forced to figure out how to make the dough, and I'm not a religious person at all. I felt like I was like touched somehow by someone because I just read a bunch of books and checked out a little bit of some YouTube stuff and then just went, okay, I'm going to just try from what I kind of understand about making pizza dough. And I just did it. And the first time I made it, it was about as good as I could ever have made it. And then I just went, okay, I'm never deviating from this. And I just did it the same way. And then when we brought on Chef Kyle Tiers, he's like, here's a couple more techniques you could do to maybe make it a little bit better. Like, for instance, I want to know, when you guys make this, when we're talking about dry or active yeast, not dry yeast. You get that active yeast. The whole process of making my dough, I do it in about 8 minutes. And when I'm getting the yeast to just like activate in its semi-warm water, I think I'm using, what am I using? 84 degree water or something like that. I can't remember what my recipe is. But when I'm doing that, Kyle had said, don't leave it just sitting in the mixer. Like turn the mixer on with the water and the yeast and stir that for a while, and then you bring in like the salt, and then you bring in the
Do you bring in
flour.
your salt early?
So that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah, but
So when we, just through like the years of kind of trying to figure out what works for us and how do you get the best type of dough, the warmer it is out, we'll go later and later with the salt. So we're at the point now where like our dough will mix for 15 minutes flat.
Okay.
We'll add the salt in at like 13 and a half minutes.
Wow.
Just because
But
for
you're
us,
using
we
double
want,
O.
Yeah,
we're
using double O zero. Yeah.
Okay.
So for us, just that salt's gonna react with the yeast, right? So we want to kind of delay that process as long as we can. So like if we could put it in at like 14 and a half minutes, we would, but then the salt wouldn't really dissolve, and then you're just kind of having
Clumps of
chunk salt in your pizza dough, right?
Oh, we gotta ask.
Hmm.
Are you a Morton's guy or are you a Diamond Crystal guy?
Oh no, we're sea salt. Yeah, so I'm not messing with. I don't even know if Morton's.
You don't even use either. What about you,
Yeah.
Katsuji?
Diamond.
Diamond Crystal.
Yeah,
All right.
It's much more fluffier than the Morton's. Morton's it's way too dense.
Yeah, I'm same boat with you. Yeah, that's been a silly joke, but all the chefs that come on, that tends to be a question, and it's kind of down the line. Like, there's a lot of hardcore Mortons.
They're
folks.
putting Morton's in their pizza dough?
Just what they cook.
Oh,
within
just
the
in
kitchen.
general. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no. We're Morton's for everything else. But
Okay.
yeah, we're using sea salt to make pizza.
But you use sea salt for your dough.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. All right. But Katsuji, you have Averde, which is traditionally a what? Well, you explain it. It's Mexican food.
It's a Mexican. It's not your traditional Mexican because
No.
we don't have the traditional dishes. But I own a pizza shop for almost 6 years in LA, a kosher pizza shop.
Damn, that was after I'd already moved away. What
Yeah.
was it called?
It was called 26, which is a Kabbalistic number that represents good luck on the Jewish community. But the difference that I do in my pizza, I use different flours to add flavor. So I use like regular 00 Caputo flour, but then I put like 10% rye, and then I add wheat, sprout wheat. And it makes it so much fluffier. This recipe is the one that we learned from Nancy Silverstone when she had
Nancy
mozza.
Silverton,
Yeah.
yeah. We were just talking about mozza the other day, and she just got rid of the delivery, right? Or what is? No, I'm sorry. She just got rid of her brick and mortars. She is 100%. La Brea Bakery is now only delivery.
Really?
You can't walk into a La Brea Bakery any longer. It's only like customer based, like the third party, and they're selling it now. But I mean, talk about an institution. So I worked for Wolfgang Puck for 5 years when I first moved to Los Angeles in '98. And watching how La Brea Bakery was kind of nothing at the time. And he was even Wolfgang bought all La Brea Bakery bread for Spago and Chinois and all of those places, and like was kind of one of the beginnings of it. And now you look at it and it's like La Brea Bakery is just...
It's everything, yeah.
It's the cornerstone of bread in Los Angeles, which is actually now good bread. For the longest time, Los Angeles, you would know, Katsuji, you were there, your years with maybe, you and I were probably there along the same years.
99 to 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I left in 2013, but yeah, we were kind of in there.
No, we were not known for good bread, for good pizza. And then
LA for a long time was not known for great food.
street tacos probably the
Yeah,
only
that's about
well, not
it.
the only thing. I'm gonna get killed if I say that. But no, but bread and pizza was one of those things that we were not known for it. And then you got La Brea, and then years later, Republic came out with bread, and on the original space of La Brea Bakery.
You know what I wonder, Max?
That's right.
I wonder what coffee they serve at La Brea Bakery.
Oh. I was almost trying to remember, but I can't. there was a bunch of different coffees, but I know what you're getting at, Matt. You're talking about Joe Van Gogh coffee because that's what we serve here.
Oh,
And
wouldn't that be awesome?
We have so much delicious Joe Van Gogh coffee in front of us right now. We're drinking Colombian-based coffee from Joe Van Gogh. This is like a light roast. You're getting kind of like that lemon zest, a little milk chocolate.
So zesty.
So zesty.
And a little plum. And a little plum in there.
I'll allow it. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Joe Van Gogh is a fantastic local-based coffee roastery importer of amazing beans from all over the world. You can check out more of their information going to joevangogh.com or check them out at any of their locations all throughout the Triangle, all the way up there at Hillsboro and down here just around the corner at Sir Walter Raleigh Coffee. So check them out, joevangogh.com.
And before we get back to the story, Megan, this Japanese pizza event that's happening, how do we get tickets? How do we find out about it? How do I go to it?
Good question. So you can find tickets in my bio on Instagram.
Which is at Magnolia Megan?
Yes, my Instagram is at Magnolia Megan. You can find tickets in my bio there. I have a link tree that has the link to Eventbrite. You can also search the event on Eventbrite. I think it's, what do we call it? Like Valentine's Day, V Pizza, Flask Cocktail Bar, Japanese style pizza. I think you can
it's the
search
only
Magnolia
one
Megan
that
events.
is probably...
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have them on the leaks on our too. So I guess in any of our bios, you can kind of just click on the link.
Yeah.
It'll get you. So it's 5 courses. We'll do a salad course to start. We've got a cool dessert pizza that Katsuji is helping us out with at the end, and then the 3 courses of pizzas that he's explained in between. The bartenders over at Flask, they have already they've been given those menus, and they're creating kind of cocktails to pair with each course, which they are super excited for. What is that? It's $75 a person, right?
$75 a person.
Cool.
And
For all that. That sounds pretty
Yep.
awesome.
I
And it's
haven't
February 20th, right?
Yes,
so
February 20th.
you're listening to this on Thursday, the 16th, so you have a couple days, about 3.5 days to get your tickets. Go there.
And
It'll
it starts
be awesome.
at 6:30 p.m. on the dot because
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we'll try to get that salad course out
into the pizza dough.
exactly.
At the right time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's 6:28. So yeah, we got to make
can't
moves.
delay it.
Actually, that just getting geeky about dough again. In a perfect world, I know sometimes it's like it doesn't work this way. But how long do you like to let your dough rest or sit before you serve it?
So I would prefer to not put it in. Like we don't ever want it to touch the walk-in. So it's just the first thing that we do, and then we'll just try to go through it same day, like probably like 8 hours before we use it.
Okay. Is that
Yeah.
Katsuji, what do you think?
I used to go 48 hours fermentation
That's
in the walk-in.
where I'm
in the
at.
walk-in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it. I like that like bready, kind of yeasty flavor
Then when you take it out of the walk-in, how long until you're using it?
all day. Like it's the first thing we take out in the morning. Like at 8 a.m. you take it
Yeah.
out, and then if the first pizza comes in at 11, well,
Right.
there you go. But
Yeah.
But ideally, like it's going to be perfect around that, like midday, 3 o'clock.
1,000%.
That it's like
What's up? It's just tough where like when you take it out of the fridge, if like you said, if you get a pizza relatively early, especially with the wood burning oven, we don't want to ruin that floor by putting like a pizza dough that's 42 degrees inside of the oven. You do that a couple of times, and now you're kind of warping the heat from the bottom of the oven, and then you'll end up serving a beautiful pizza up top, but then the bottom is almost raw because it's cooking on something that's so much significantly lower than the heat that's hitting the pizza from everywhere else. So that's why we try to avoid it. I mean, like you said, sometimes, if you're having a good day, you run out of pizza, you got to go and grab something, you got to make something quick, and then there's got to be ways around it. But
Yeah, but again, that's the difference in styles, right? You're making
Yeah.
a Neapolitan pizza that you don't want to be doughy and chewy.
Yup.
You want to be
Yeah, exactly.
very thin and easy.
yeah, we want to make sure, because then, the less time that we have, the colder that is underneath, then you're going to end up serving just like soup, right? And we want ours to be kind of fork and knife pizza, but we also don't want to cross over that threshold where you're eating something that just needs to be eaten with like a spoon. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
So, Katsuji, you must, you had Anthony as your sous chef, so to speak, as he mentioned the first time, making these, the Mexican-style pizzas. He must have not done that bad of a job for you wanting to do another event with him.
No, it was fun. We had
I had
a
an
lot of
awesome
fun,
time.
you
He
know?
can throw a pie, right? He can throw a pie.
And I was surprised because we were cooking all those pizzas out, and it was freezing.
yeah, because we don't cook them in the kitchen. We cooked them out of the pizza truck.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we parked the pizza truck. Flask is all glass all around it, like the walls of it. So we wanted to make sure that the guests are coming to kind of see Katsuji, see the process. So even though we technically cook out of an open kitchen, you'd have to be like standing over the oven to see it. So
Yeah.
this way just worked a little bit better. So yeah, I mean, it was cold that night. We had, it was also relatively late at night when we were out there. So
And especially in that area, it's like a culinary dead area. There's really nothing happening. Like
Oh, at Briar Creek?
Briar Creek,
Yeah.
and I'm a,
Sorry, Briar Creek.
Yeah. No, but then besides him,
I mean, there's a Bob Evans.
I don't even know what's that.
It's good that you don't know what
Yeah,
a Bob
it's
Evans
probably
is.
the
I ate
best.
way too much Bob Evans growing up.
Is it right?
Yeah, my
very
grandma
good.
and I,
That's
it was
a
like
perfect-
a thing.
No,
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we would like go to Bob Evans if we ever went
What's a
anywhere.
Bob Evans? What do they sell? Like sandwiches?
So they have like breakfast food and stuff, but they also have dinner and
Kind of like a diner.
yeah, it's basically like
Okay,
a diner.
diner.
It's a chain. It's Like, I used to think it was amazing growing up. Now I know it's
Huge in the Amish community.
Yeah, it's like
Let's just say you're probably not posting on Magnolia Megan
No.
about Bob Evans. Yeah.
Can I tell my one Amish story? I think maybe did I already tell you this? I have one story, but when I was 13, my school sent us on an 8th grade trip, California. Like they send you to D.C. so you could learn about politics and all. On our trip, it was a nice trip. We went for, I think, 8 or 9 days. And part of the trip is we went up to New York. We actually saw Cabaret with Liza Minnelli.
Nice.
Like it was my first Broadway production. And then we went into Philadelphia. We went and saw, like Liberty Bell and all that. But then we went into Amish country, just exploring. While we're there, I'm a dumbass, and I'm so used to panhandlers in Los Angeles. A blind Amish man was walking down the street, and he had a cup in his hand, and he was like just humming a song. He was an old man. He was just like humming and walking and humming and walking, and I had change in my pocket, and he
No.
walked by me. I took the change out and dropped it into
threw
his
it in his
cup,
drink?
and all you heard was,
oh
and he just went, what is it? What is it? And he's blind. He was like, oh, I go, oh my God, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking for money. And I ran. Yeah, gave money to an Amish man. So,
Is this the first time
Homage
you've told
to
that
an
story?
Amish. Oh my God.
I did not hear that story before.
Yeah.
Though.
That
Yeah.
is
Well, that's a little bit about
hysterical.
Max's background. All right. So, Katsuji, I to be honest, so we talked a little bit, but so give us an insight about how you do this Japanese, Mexican, Jewish kosher cooking. I forget your parents.
My parents are, my dad's Japanese, my mom is Mexican. I was raised in a house that, we didn't do fusion. You didn't come to my house and my dad will be making, I don't know, like a carne asada sushi roll. No. But, it was always like the
that
seasonings.
sounds damn good,
Oh,
by the way.
Like for me, like soy sauce or fish sauce in my house was one of the main ingredients. Growing up as a kid, especially in Mexico, the number one soup that everybody eats, like a chicken noodle soup or fideo soup. And I remember putting soy sauce on my soup normally. And then when I started getting older, I realized that, well, it's not traditional to be putting soy sauce on Mexican food. But that's the way I was raised. So for me, I still use those flavor profile. After culinary school, I live in Japan for almost a year, and I work in different places. And I got to experience more of the traditional Japanese food. Not so much sushi and sashimi. I focus more on braces and curries and what people eat on a everyday basis. And it's fun that, especially here in Raleigh, that the more I be spending time here, I see more chefs, doing collaborations during pop-up. A couple of weeks ago, we have Ashley Christensen brought.
oh my God. You're going to drive me. He came up from.
No.
Jason Stano?
Yeah, well, yes, but then she brought as well Nancy Silverton.
That's
she-
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nancy, right.
Yeah,
The aforementioned Nancy.
yeah.
Silverton.
I knew like the day after. I was like, man, that would be cool to try her food. But it's cool that that Raleigh is getting to be this like interesting culinary area. Because a lot of places are popping up in the last couple of months. Like everywhere are opening, and it's a very hard industry, and sometimes we forgot that if we become friends with each other, we can help each other, and everybody grows. It's like owning a bunch of food trucks. If you get them all together, you might be able to pull more people than if you work by itself. So, I think
Rising tide,
it was a cool experience when I met Anthony last year, and he was open to let me do like things that are not very traditional, in the restaurants. Like, hey, you want to make Mexican pizza? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay, well, just letting you know, it's not going to be your traditional stuff. And now he's like, oh, let's do something.
Let's try it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was such a good time for us.
Where does the kosher part come in?
Well, for many years, I was the best kosher chef in America. I had 2 restaurants in LA. One was a steakhouse and then a pizza shop.
Yeah.
And then I have 3 Mexicoshers. We're the only 3 Mexican kosher restaurants in the United States. I had 1 in Beverly Hills and 2 in New York, 1 in the Upper West Side and 1 in Queens. I don't know, man. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in anything. Well, yeah, no, I don't believe in anything. But I became really good at doing this. And
But like, how did that start? What was did you work for a kosher chef? Did you?
No. I'm the one who pretty much wrote the kosher cooking book about like cooking kosher that doesn't taste like kosher in the 2000s. No, I was raised in a Jewish neighborhood in Mexico City because believe it or not, there's tons of
There's
Jews
a lot of- yeah.
in Mexico City, and even my next door neighbor was completely Orthodox Jews, and so we were part of the community. And living in LA and not having a Jewish friend, it's like are you even in LA? So
Yeah.
that's the life. And
Those aren't Amish people, folks.
I enjoy it, but something that I love about North Carolina right now, it's the pork. Like obviously pork's never going to be part of kosher, but I'm obsessed with the local pork especially in this area. I just got
You just posted that video.
Yeah, I got a country ham from some place in Warsaw that they don't have a website, they don't have Instagram, they don't nothing. You have to call them, and then you have to pay over the phone with your credit card, and then they'll send you the ham. And this ham, I told to the guy, it's like, hey, I'm gonna serve it raw. I was like, you're not gonna fry it, you're not gonna braise it. It's like, no, I'm gonna slice it like it's an Iberico ham.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, people don't like that. I said, nah, trust me. And these country hams are at the level of the Spanish or the Italian prosciuttos.
In Warsaw, Poland?
No, Warsaw, North Carolina.
Oh, Warsaw, North Carolina. Okay, I was like, oh, okay.
But these hams that people eat like pan fried with red gravy,
Yeah.
you can eat them raw, like thin sliced, like a prosciutto, and they're
they're
absolutely
cured. I mean, they're not. They're not like raw.
Yeah.
Raw. I mean,
they're cured for 3 months.
Yeah.
But then this guy, he's like, hey, I have one that I cured for 3 months, but I forgot, and I left it in my barn for like a year and a half, and he sent me that one. And then it's amazing, you can slice it, and you can smell the nuttiness. It's super rich, nice and oily, and like I said, it's one of those things, like, living in LA, you have everything to your disposal. But here, living in North Carolina, everything is very local, very seasonal. And then when you get to play with these flavors, it's like, wow. And then, like I said, for me, the country ham, the way that I present it, we should make a pizza with country ham, by the way. Like prosciutto instead of prosciutto, country ham.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah,
really cool.
but people are not used. People are like, oh, it needs to be pan fried. So a lot of things that people, we have here, we don't utilize it in a different way. So
There's one thing that you were frustrated with, and I had a conversation the first time I did Averde with you about you're very particular, obviously, about your fish sauce.
yeah.
But you can't find the one that you like in North Carolina. So what do you do? Remind me, how do you find it, or where do you source
So
it?
I contact the owner who lives in Vietnam, and I said, could I buy a whole pallet of your fishes? And he's like, yeah, it's gonna be like $10,000. And I was like, well, $10,000 it's gonna last me like almost 2 years. So we got delivered barrel-aged fishes straight from Vietnam with no thickeners, no glycerin, no sugar, which that's the way I want it. But yeah, it's difficult to get the stuff that you want from from other countries. The same with the corn that I bring to make tortillas. We bring a metric ton of raw corn from Mexico to make tortillas here.
Yeah, and you're making your tortillas at Averde.
Yeah, we're doing the nixtamalization process. For those of you guys that don't know what's the miracle of nixtamalization, is when you take the maize, the corn, and then you cook it in an alkaline base, which is construction lime, what we use. Construction lime, water, we boil the corn, let it sit overnight, and then I brought this grinder from Mexico that it's 2 stones, and then we, grind the corn, and then we make the dough out of it, and then we make it's like a 24-hour process to make tortillas. And I tell people, like, if you order a chicken taco, because we need to have chicken taco because white people love chicken tacos. I said to them, I said, if you get a chicken taco, the tortilla, it's more expensive than the chicken itself.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
We were fortunate enough to show up at Averde before you opened. We got the sneak preview, which was thank you for the invite. And yeah, you blew me away. I was like, oh man, this is what is necessary when you're making tacos. If you're not sourcing the tortilla or dare I say making it yourself, you're doing a disservice. It's really hard to make the taco properly unless you do that. But yeah, you spend a lot of time and effort just to get there, which I applaud you for doing, because that's not an easy feat.
It's a pain in the ass. Sometimes I don't know why I make my life much more difficult. I could have just go and bought like locally made tortillas and then just rewarm. I don't know. I feel like it will be
Yeah, because
cheating.
you're not recouping that cost, really. You're not like maybe passing on a little bit to the customers.
No.
Yeah.
And sometimes people be like, "Oh, why are you putting food colorant on your tortillas?" Because they're blue corn tortillas, and I was like, nah.
Well, Matt, and for listeners, this is just a preview for next week, so you better ask this question because I won't be here. Next week, we're interviewing Midwood Smokehouse, who just opened up here in
That's right.
Smoky Hollow of
Another
Raleigh.
special guest host. I don't know if we should reveal it yet.
Yeah, why not? We could talk about it. Let's hype it up. But our good buddy, friend of the show, Chef Jake Wood, is going to sit in this seat. And I'll try to keep it clean for you, Jake. But I also expect it to be clean when I get back. But Jake is going to come in and help co-host the NCF&B next week. And speaking to Midwood, the only reason why I bring it up is that Midwood, we were talking to Remy Thurston, who, he did the podcast for so long, based out of Charlotte.
Amber Donahue.
Yeah.
Good friend.
And he's the director of marketing for Midwood, and they make their own tortillas in-house as well. And we were looking at the apparatus, and I was being facetious. I'm like, what was it, like $150,000? He's like, no, but it was at least half of that. And I went, are you serious? He goes, oh, yeah. These things are crazy expensive. Wow. And I know the device they're using is a little different. They're like that press, and they're doing flour tortillas. Mm-hmm. You're doing traditional corn tortilla, and this is more like a conveyor belt style, right? Doesn't it
mine?
Yeah, yours.
No, mine it's so we make the dough from scratch, and then we have a little machine that just helps you to make the tortilla rounds. But then the ladies that I have in the kitchen,
it's all handmade.
It's all handmade. It's just we just have a little machine that helps us because we were going to do it by hand,
like shaping it.
Yeah, with the hand press. But at my Chicago restaurant, we realized that after 8 hours of making nonstop tortillas, these ladies starts getting like really sore arms, and it's just it's not necessary. No,
Anthony.
You want Anthony? Forearms are looking a little small there, bro.
Anthony lifts,
I'll be there tomorrow. Yeah.
No, because we're
tortilla production's never been so high.
We're doing more than 1,000 tortillas per day, by hand, so it just takes forever. So yeah, they're handmade 90%. But then these flour tortillas that he's making, I'm assuming that's the conveyor machine that goes back and forward.
It's like it's cylindrical, and it smashes it. It presses it down and then sends it over.
Oh, it's like a little box, right?
Yeah.
And then it goes in a round. Yeah,
it's in a round.
Those are pretty cool.
Technology is insane, but nothing beats the sweet little lady in the corner just kind of smacking her hands together and putting it out there. Those are like all over Los Angeles, which is great. You go to like Paco's Tacos, which were over when I was living in Playa del Rey. They made them from scratch, and there was always a little old lady in the corner. I'm like, I don't know why they have to be little and old and female, but they have to be. Like, it's like, it was the old school Japanese references, that like women couldn't be Japanese sushi chefs, right? Because like the whole joke was that
they're too warm. Their hands are too warm.
Their hands are too warm, but they're cooking the fish.
In Mexico, the ladies make corn tortillas, but then in the north, the guys are the ones that are making flour tortillas. Wow. So as I say, we see corn tortillas as a female product. We tend to see flour more of a mix between guys and girls. But yeah, by the way, they're two different completely products. They're not even close, like how they make it and everything.
Do you give any credit to the 50-50? Do you ever try to make the corn flour tortilla, the mix?
No, I
experimented with it, and it turned into a disaster.
I have tried them. I don't think it brings anything to the party. But a good, well done tortilla, if you do it correctly, it's as soft as a flour tortilla. You just have to let it sit for a couple of minutes, let it steam, and then just turns like a super soft pita, but made out of corn. And then I do the flour tortillas as well, but I use lard.
You should use
local North Carolina lard.
It's like you're making tiny pizzas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you're getting right back to the pizza over here. Anthony, how's number 2 going for you? The V Pizza.
It's going good, man. Thank God. Briar Creek has been cool. We just hit a year last month, so we're excited for that. It's cool kind of having the different places to kind of balance back and forth between, but so far so good. Yeah, for sure.
How I want to ask you guys, like, in this day and age, where you both have restaurants in Cary, which, we've talked about this a lot. Previously wasn't thought of as a food or culinary destination, but as Raleigh grows, we're going to the outskirts. But it's not even like you guys are in downtown Cary. You're in Briar Creek, and you're on Kildare, and then you're in off of Walnut, right near across from Crossroads. So, obviously, Katsuji, you have some name recognition. Anthony, nobody knew you from Adam before you came here. So how do you parlay or find somebody like Megan, or what is it? People like Megan that are really helping you find people and pack your restaurants, or what are some of the things you're doing?
Let me speak on that real quick. This is relevant. So speaking of downtown Cary, I was arrogant enough to believe that we had built up enough of of people knowing who we were, what we kind of did for the community, where there was a space.
For your second one, you're thinking? Or
I'm
this
talking.
is the first time?
This is like last month.
Okay.
So there's a space in downtown Cary that I was looking to do a new concept in. We had approached the landlord about it. You know, we came to the table correctly, right? This isn't our first go around. So we had our business plan and our pitch deck. We had financial backing. Everything was kind of good to go. We had met. Probably went through like 2 to 3 rounds of trying to figure out the LOI. And then on the third round, with nothing from us changing conceptually, this new concept, it didn't offer alcohol. And the landlord was like, you got to offer alcohol. I'm like, it's kind of not what the concept is, right? Like, you know, you're with us, we haven't changed anything, this is where we're at. But there's a bar involved. I don't want to get too much until we sign a lease, which will be soon, and then we'll kind of get excited about it. But long story short, it's funny how you say that, because at least for me, you know, I figured, I've been doing this for a couple of years, and at least in this area with the meal prep and with the restaurants, like, you know, have we kind of built enough up in the community where someone's going to take a shot on us while knowing that, like, you know, that everything else makes sense, right? We've crossed our T's and dotted our I's. And it was tough. We were genuinely just told no. You know, we weren't trying to, it got to the point where we weren't even negotiating. We weren't trying to get them to come down on square footage price or anything on the TI or TICAM. And they were just like, if you're not serving alcohol here, we don't want it. So for us now, that search has now had to broaden. So it's funny how you say, you know, you're in Cary. Yeah, we want to be downtown with something different, but even for us, it can be hard to try to branch out and come up with these rare concepts. I'm sure that Katsuji, obviously, this is his life passion, and he's so well known between Top Chef and everything else. For people that may not have that, it can be difficult where, you know, sometimes your community will tell you in like these Facebook groups, I wish that there was more options for blank, or I wish that there was more variety when it came to this type of food or this type of service. Well, it's not just the entrepreneur who's trying to bring it to the table. It's the other side of the coin. The landlord, for good reasons, they want to feel comfortable in the partnership that they're forming with the business owner, but it can be hard when you have that pushback without them even, you know, we understand that, like, this is probably just, they don't understand what it is that we're trying to do. So we haven't done a good enough job of kind of explaining that to them, but it can be tough. I mean, we're dealing with it every week, you know what I mean? We're trying to find a space.
That's surprising from both sides, just touching on the alcohol piece, because one, downtown Cary has so much going on with alcohol, like with Sidebar, with Hanks, with a walk graffiti.
It's the space next to graffiti, that big white building, that 4,000 square foot building.
Resting bitch face. Yeah, so there's plenty of alcohol options. But then I'm also confused as to you. Like, I get it conceptually, it's about the food, but still, it seems to me like you're leaving a lot of money on the table without the alcohol piece.
Yeah, so for us, I mean, it is. So basically, what we're doing is, I have the meal prep company that I started a while ago in New York that we brought to North Carolina that does well for us. Right now, we serve food out of gyms and doctors' offices.
Right.
So we have pickup locations in Wake Forest and Chapel Hill and Durham and Cary and Raleigh. Long story short, we're trying to basically build the next level of that. So we want to do fast casual, very like nutrition forward, health focused food with a sit down like juice bar, protein shake bar, things of that nature, have a meal prep option.
Gotcha.
And then the other half of the building is going to be a personal fitness facility.
Gotcha.
So we would be downtown right next to a couple of bars that are successful and do a really good job. It's not as if that block is yearning for alcohol.
No.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean,
concept doesn't make sense.
It just doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. Hey, well, here's a healthy, you know, vodka tonic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
all right.
It happens. It's what we deal with. Honestly, it's something that I wasn't. You know, in my mind, it was always it'll be hard for us to raise funds for a concept, but then once we do, it'll be full steam ahead.
Yeah.
And now we realize that, you know, it's just me being stupid, right? That's not the case. You got to find somebody that's willing to kind of play ball, right? So.
Yeah. What say you, Katsuji? Like, I mean, you were saying like business has been good. Like,
but I'm all about alcohol.
Right.
Yeah, Averde is Averde and tequila bar. Yeah, for sure. What's your go-to tequila by, or what do you drink? What's your on your bar these days?
Man, I've been getting a lot of mezcals that don't have brand. You know, I just go to Mexico and then it comes in a plastic bag in a Coke bottle and then you bring it over there. I
share, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. I love tequilas, but mezcal has always been hard for me because I'm not a huge fan of smoky alcohol. I love smoked food and I love spicy food. Not a huge fan of smoky alcohol or spicy alcohol. But I've been getting to these like herbaceous mezcals that are absolutely delicious. God, God, man, right now, I got through stages, you know. I've been drinking a lot of Mexican gin, too.
That's a thing?
Yeah. I just came back from Mexico, so I brought a bunch of stuff that it's like rum, you know, gin that people are not used to.
Are they doing like barrel rusted gin, or are they doing like dry London dry gins?
London dry gins, but they're started to utilize all these Mexican ingredients: hibiscus, cactus, prickly pears infused into the flavor profile.
Delicious.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I said, you know, you can see Anthony. It's clearly on shape. I'm not that much on shape. You know, for me, alcohol, it's a good.
He's been making a lot of tortillas.
Yeah. Yeah. So like for me, like I want to focus more on opening bars with really good food.
Yeah.
Not, you know, right now for the last 10 years I've been doing restaurants with really good bars. Now I want to do the other. I want to. Yeah.
And back to the location piece. Would you? I mean, having your druthers, maybe you're looking already. Like, would you look still in Cary, downtown Cary, all over Raleigh? What say you about that?
I mean, you know, I'm not opposed for Cary. I do prefer to be in downtown areas, like more.
Especially when alcohol's involved.
Yeah, like walking distance. Not so much that you could you have to. It's like in LA. Remember when I opened one of my restaurants? They're like, "Oh, you need to have 25 parking spots." I said, "But I'm promoting alcohol. Why would I want to have?" Anyways, long story short. But yeah, Cary definitely has its benefits. I'm far away from downtown, but every time I go to downtown Cary, it's like. It's amazing. I'm in an area that I have Red Robin and Olive Garden and
it's crazy.
What's the name of the one with the lobster, Red Lobster things? You know, it's
Carolina Ale House.
Yeah. So sometimes people come to my restaurant. I was like, "How did you find out about my restaurant?" You know, because it's kind
of hidden. You got a big a lot of trees around your parking lot and everything. Yeah. And so how do you guys get involved with Megan? Do you find her? Does she find you? What?
Man,
Megan, maybe you can.
How did that happen?
Well, actually, with Anthony, it was right when we moved here. So I think Anthony's Flask Cocktail Bar was like one of the first places I went to in Raleigh. Because we just moved last year.
Did you check her ID?
Yeah, exactly. Right. No, she got a mocktail, which was good, her and her husband. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we definitely understand just how valuable someone like Megan is to the community, right? It's one thing to have, you know, to pay for like a sponsored post on Facebook or to put, you know, there's definitely... It's a good resource to have, but to have somebody that can come in with her brand and her face and kind of really enjoy it, her and her husband come in and spread the word organically to friends that she's making in the community, you kind of can't replicate that, right? Like you've seen that now with Crafton and kind of things that you guys are exploring. You know, it's the word influencer, sometimes it could have a negative connotation. And it was, oh yeah, they're just coming out to take pictures. Like what they do is so extensive, you know, because whenever I try to do it on my own, it's exhausting and it's hard and it's, and you know, you have to be super intelligent in that kind of lane to get it done. So, I mean, yeah, what did I do? Just DM'd you?
Yeah, I think it was something like that. Yeah. There's a lot to it. Usually places reach out to me nowadays and we set up, you know, partnerships, things like that. And it's nice because, you know, the money that goes towards that, like, you get so much more return on it than doing like a Facebook ad or, you know, Instagram ad, sponsored posts, things like that. Because my whole audience is located in North Carolina. It's very, you know, niche focused, and a lot of people actually say like, oh, I went and checked out the place that you recommended, and you know, I've seen a lot of good like return from the business itself and saying like, wow, it really helped. I've been more busy on the weekends, you know, things like that.
As an old guy in this industry, I didn't want that to be a thing that actually worked for so long. No offense. It's just,
sure, yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like, I mean, Katsuji, you have your own following. You have a large audience. So it's like, you put a post out, you can get a lot of people to see it. But it almost, because of the way the social media demons work, like they could even like stifle or shadow ban or like do all these things to where it's like not everyone sees everything. And maybe even like your national/international audience might see everything you post, but like to your little neighborhood where you are at, they're like, no, we're not going to do that. And so it's very odd, but it is great to know that there is a way to kind of challenge the social media pitfalls by having people such as yourself, Magnolia Megan, to connect people with, because it's like a lot of people don't want to spend the time and effort to figure out where are all the best restaurants to go to. Well, just she knows, so you tell me where I want to go. And of course, I'm sure that you've, like, we recently worked with the other Megan, Megan from NC Eat and Play at Crafton for our 1 year anniversary, and she did like phenomenal work for us and her team. It's not just a
Yeah.
person. Right now,
Yeah.
by the way, if you're watching on camera, you're watching the show on camera, the person that's clicking through all the shots is your beautiful husband right
my
over here.
husband, Matt, who is also my teammate basically in everything that we do.
Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually own Magnolia Media as well. We do social media management for restaurants. We do a lot of things, partnerships, things like that for local businesses. So it's more than just, the influencer word. I hate saying that word too. But I went to school for this stuff. I did advertising, marketing, things like that, but found that social media is the new form of marketing, and it's really important for businesses to either do it themselves on their own accounts or to have that help or to have someone like me, go and talk about these places because people are just looking for things to do, and it's nice having that source to go to that where, I can talk about a local place or a new place opening up or a brand or a business, and then people actually, taking that information and going, checking out for themselves or offering a gift card to go, things like that. So
well, this is a good sweet spot of that moment right now, like where people are still humans and we're like talking to each other and we're working that way. It'll only continue to be that way if it's still relevant and people still like if the social media demons don't like
and the AI
kibosh
stuff
and all that stuff. Yeah, Matt with his what is it? What do you
Chat GPT.
Matt's all about it. He asks.
Are you into it?
Chat GPT to answer all questions in his life now.
Everything is my guiding light. No, I know.
Is that why you've been texting me so properly lately? Yeah, everything is so grammatically correct. Yeah.
Yes, Anthony. Good to see you, Anthony. No, my wife, who's in the digital marketing space, a little bit more emerging tech, but is all about it. And so I was just very honored that I knew something before Max did. And I was like, wait, Max, you don't know it? So then I've been pushing it on him. But no, I
couldn't
don't
have
know.
predicted that hold call on the 3rd and 10 in the Super Bowl. Would
Probably, yes.
Bullshit.
He held him.
Anyhow,
real quick, and more than that, and go back to the human thing. And I know nobody wants to hear football, but I've been meaning to tell you this, Max. So
let's go.
No better of an opportunity. We were listening to the NFL radio just before the game, and one of the co-hosts of the show, predicted the game to be exactly right, and they said, last-minute field goal, Patrick Mahomes is going to be the engineer of that drive. And then Bill Polian, former GM of the Colts, who won a Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, said, the referee, Carl Sheffer, or whatever, I can't remember his name, it's been interesting because he is a by-the-book guy, calls the game by the book, called more penalties than any other referee in the NFL this year. So watch,
and then some.
So watch for the game to be called by the book. And so Cam was in the car and he listens like a sponge and just reflecting. He's like, "How did those guys know everything that was going to happen?"
Because it's scripted, folks. That's how they know. It's fucking fake.
Oh man.
Anyhow, how did that?
You're a Raiders fan, aren't you?
Yeah, that's why I hate everything.
That's why. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, the Raiders are the haters, bro. But yeah, I mean, how did the defensive touchdown get overturned?
That's what's crazy.
How did Davis's
that catch on the
not
sideline?
get,
By the
connected?
tight end.
This is where it's like, guys, it is entertainment. It is a sport, and if a human physically grabs a ball and his feet are in bounds and then walks out of bounds and is still holding said ball, how is that not a catch?
Right.
Like you're eating your own tail when you're getting too technical with this crap.
The receiver for the Eagles that on the touchdown that was called back. I mean, he catches it all hands, turns his head upfield, the ball comes out, and it's like, that wasn't a catch. On what planet is that not a catch?
Yeah. So anyways, the fix is in, but you know what's not? The fix, delicious food. You can go, again, this is the 16th. It's only 4 days away from a Monday night. Because what else are you going to do on a Monday? Every restaurant closes on Monday. They're all closed, which is probably why you're able to do this, right, Katsuji?
Well, I open every day, but Mondays it's my day off, and something that I like to do on my day off, it's actually cooking. I'm one of the few chefs that I know that I enjoy cooking outside of my restaurant. It's a two different beast, by the way. Cooking in a restaurant, it's one style. Yeah. Cooking at home, it's a different story, but I still enjoy it, and I still enjoy it when I can go somewhere else and create things that are not, on a regular basis. Because we have done this only twice. Well, actually only once, and now it's going to be a second time. So it's for people that want to try something different, especially like you said, on a Monday night that everything's closed. It's a cool way to try flavors. You're not going to be exposed that you could have this experience in Chicago, in LA, in New York, but we're in Raleigh, and we're giving this to the people that follow us and like our food.
Well, we appreciate you coming into this state and doing things like that and giving us this opportunity, both of you. Because Anthony, you're from New York too.
Yeah, I'm from New York City.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So thank you, Matt. You got anything else for us?
Yeah, this has been so much fun. One, thank you, Megan, for sitting in with us and guest hosting. So much appreciate you, what you do out there and for the community. Anthony, it's always good to see you.
Always good to see you guys.
And Katsuji, awesome to talk to you and get to know you a little bit better. Looking forward to Monday night Japanese pizza at Briar
If you
Creek.
guys are free, bring your wives. Come hang out on us for real. We want you guys there.
Yeah, you should
I'll be in Vermont.
Oh,
right.
nice.
Yeah.
snowboarding.
That's pretty cool.
Monday
So,
night.
there you go.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
come through.
Well, for everybody out there, check out Averde Cocina and Tequila Bar. Cocina and Tequila Bar. Cocina and Tequila Bar. Check out V Pizza and Flask Cocktail Bar in Briar Creek. You will eat and drink extremely merrily.
And follow at Magnolia Megan on Instagram.
Thanks for listening to the NC F&B podcast. And if you've stuck with us this long, review us on iTunes and remember, 5 stars are encouraged.